Why are you so calm? My wife whispered across the table. Because I finally understand our marriage, I said. Then I slid the folder across the white tablecloth. By the time she opened it, the waiter was already pouring her a glass of wine she'd never finish. My name is Marcus Cole. I'm 47 years old. For the last 19 years, I've run a forensic accounting firm that specializes in catching people who think they're smarter than the numbers. Insurance fraud, embezzlement, hidden assets, and divorce cases. My team and I have exposed over $200 million in financial crimes. Ironic, right? I can find a hidden offshore account in the Caymans, but I couldn't see what was happening in my own house. My wife's name is Rachel. We met at a charity gala 23 years ago. She was 22, working the event as a caterer's assistant, carrying a tray of champagne flutes like she owned the place. I was 24, fresh out of my MBA, convinced I was going to change the world with spreadsheets. We got married 2 years later. Had our daughter Olivia a year after that. She's 20 now, pre-med at Northwestern, scary smart, the kind of kid who corrects her professors and they thank her for it. Our son, Ethan, came 5 years later. He's 15, plays guitar in a band that practices in our garage every Saturday morning at 7 a.m. I've learned to sleep through it. For most of our marriage, I thought we were solid. Not perfect. Nobody's perfect, but solid. Rachel managed the house, volunteered at the children's school, joined a women's business networking group 3 years ago that met every Thursday evening. I worked long hours, traveled for cases, missed some dinners I shouldn't have missed. We drifted the way married people do when they stop paying attention. But I never thought we were broken. 5 months ago, I was reviewing our joint tax documents for the quarterly filing. Habit, mostly. I do our taxes myself because paying someone else to do what I do for a living feels ridiculous. That's when I noticed it. A wire transfer for $12,000 from our savings account to an entity called Pinnacle Ventures LLC. I didn't authorize it. Rachel handles day-to-day expenses, groceries, utilities, the kids' activities, but anything over $5,000 we discuss. That was our rule. I searched for Pinnacle Ventures. No website. No LinkedIn. No business registration in our state. Just a Delaware LLC filed 8 months prior with a registered agent service. Standard shell company setup. I've seen this pattern 1,000 times in my work. Someone was hiding money. I pulled 3 more months of statements. Found 6 additional transfers. $41,000 total, all routed to Pinnacle Ventures. All from our joint savings. All on Thursdays. The same day Rachel's networking group met. Here's the thing about being a forensic accountant. You don't confront. You don't accuse. You gather. So, that's what I did. I spent 3 weeks mapping every transaction, tracing every dollar. Pinnacle Ventures had a bank account at a small credit union in Delaware. The signatory on the account was not Rachel. It was a man named Derek Solis. Derek Solis, 39 years old, real estate developer, ran a small firm that flipped commercial properties in the suburbs. His company had been struggling. 2 failed projects in the last year, a lawsuit from a contractor, and a line of credit that was maxed out. He needed cash. And apparently, my wife had been providing it. I found their communications through our cloud storage. Rachel used the family iPad for everything, and it synced across devices. She'd been careful with texts, deleted them regularly, but she forgot about the cloud backup. Messages going back 14 months. What started as professional conversations about an investment opportunity Derek pitched at her networking group turned personal by month 3. By month 6, it was obvious. One exchange stood out. Rachel had written, "Marcus is buried in work. He wouldn't notice if I moved the furniture out of the house." Derek replied, "When are you going to tell him?" Rachel's response, "When the business is profitable. Then I'll have my own money and I won't need his anymore. We can start fresh." She wasn't just having an affair. She was funding her exit strategy with my money. Building a business with her boyfriend using dollars I'd earned, then planning to leave once she had enough to stand on her own. I was the ATM financing my own replacement. I could have confronted her that night. Could have screamed, thrown things, done what most people do when their world cracks open. But that's not how I operate. In my profession, emotion is the enemy. Data is the weapon. So I kept quiet, kept watching, and started building my case. I called my attorney, Sandra Whitfield. 61 years old, divorce lawyer, known in the county as someone you hire when you want to win and don't care about making friends. She'd been practicing since before no-fault divorce was common and still approached every case like it was going to trial. "Marcus," she said after reviewing my preliminary findings, "this isn't just grounds for divorce. This is fraud. Conversion of marital assets. Potentially wire fraud depending on how the LLC was structured." "I know," I said, "but I need more before we move." She nodded. "Then get me everything. Don't leave a single dollar unaccounted for." I spent the next 6 weeks doing what I do best, tracing money. Every deposit into Pinnacle Ventures, I tracked its destination. Equipment purchases for Derek's new project, a property renovation in Elm Grove. Payments for materials, contractors, permits. My wife had funneled $63,000 of our savings into her boyfriend's failing real estate venture, and she'd done it without ever mentioning his name in our house. I also discovered something else. The networking group Rachel attended every Thursday? It existed, but Rachel had stopped going 4 months ago. The group leader confirmed it when I called, pretending to be arranging a surprise anniversary dinner. "Oh, Rachel hasn't been to a meeting since January. Is she okay?" Thursday nights were for Derek. His apartment was 14 minutes from our house. I confirmed it through location data on the family phone plan. Every Thursday, her phone pinged from the same address in Ridgewood, from 7 p.m. to 11 p.m. Like clockwork. I didn't follow her. Didn't need to. The numbers told the story. They always do. The night I decided to end my marriage, I took Rachel to Abernathy's. Nice steakhouse downtown, dark wood, low lighting, the kind of place where people propose or break up. I'd made the reservation 3 days in advance. Asked for the corner table. Rachel seemed surprised when I suggested dinner. We hadn't gone out in months. "Just us?" she asked. "Just us." She wore a green dress I hadn't seen before. New earrings, too. Probably bought with money from our joint account. Probably wore them for Derek first. We ordered. She got the sea bass. I got the filet. The waiter brought bread. She talked about Ethan's upcoming guitar recital, about Olivia's organic chemistry exam, about the neighbor's new fence that was 3 inches over the property line. Normal conversation. Normal wife. Normal lies. After the main course, I reached into my jacket and pulled out the folder. "I want to talk about something," I said. She tilted her head. "Okay." That's when she asked it. "Why are you so calm?" "Because I finally understand our marriage," I said. Then I slid the folder across the table. She opened it. Inside were printed bank statements, every transfer to Pinnacle Ventures highlighted in yellow. Behind that, the LLC registration showing Derek's name. Behind that, screenshots of their messages. Behind that, a timeline I'd constructed showing every Thursday night, every lie, every dollar. She turned pages slowly. I watched the color leave her face in stages, like watching a sunset in reverse. White, then gray, then something I'd never seen before. Fear. "Where did you get this?" she whispered. "I'm a forensic accountant, Rachel. This is literally what I do." "You went through my messages?" "Our messages. Our cloud storage. Our bank accounts. Our money." She closed the folder. Set her hands flat on the table like she was trying to keep the room from spinning. "Marcus, please. I can explain. You can explain $63,000? You can explain 14 months of lies? You can explain building a business with another man using money I earned? It's not what you think. That's the thing. It's exactly what I think. I've spent 6 weeks verifying every detail. I don't think. I know." She started crying. Quiet. Controlled tears. The kind you cry when you're not sad but caught. I stood up. Left $300 on the table. More than enough. "Enjoy dinner," I said. "Your attorney will hear from mine on Monday." I drove to the Hilton on Route 9. Checked in, room on the top floor, sat on the bed and called Sandra. "It's done," I said. How did she react? "About how you'd expect." "Good. Paperwork files at 8 a.m. I've got the process server on standby." "What about the financial freeze?" "Already in motion. By morning, she won't be able to access joint accounts, sell property, or transfer assets without court approval." I've also filed the emergency motion for temporary possession of the marital home based on evidence of financial misconduct. I set my phone down, looked out the window at the parking lot, the highway beyond it, cars going somewhere. Normal people living normal lives. I wondered how many of them were being robbed by the person sleeping next to them. Telling the kids was the hardest part. Saturday morning. Olivia had driven down from Northwestern for the weekend. Ethan was at the kitchen table strumming his guitar, working out a chord progression. I made breakfast. Eggs, bacon, toast. The kind of meal you make when you're about to ruin someone's morning. I need to talk to you both, I said after we'd eaten. Olivia looked up from her phone. She had Rachel's eyes, but my instinct for reading a room. Something's wrong, she said. Your mother and I are getting divorced. Silence. Ethan's hand froze on the guitar strings. Olivia set her phone down slowly, deliberately, like she was putting down a weapon. Why? Ethan asked. Because she did something that broke our trust. Something I can't get past. Olivia's jaw tightened. She cheated. Not a question. A conclusion. It's more complicated than that, I said. But yes, that's part of it. What's the other part? Olivia pressed. She took money from our savings. A lot of money. Gave it to someone without telling me. Used it to fund a business I knew nothing about. Ethan put his guitar down. How much? $63,000. His eyes went wide. That's insane. It is. Olivia stood up, walked to the window, looked out at the yard where she'd played as a kid. When she turned back, her eyes were dry, but her voice was shaking. How long did you know? 6 weeks. And you didn't say anything? I needed to be sure, needed to have everything documented before I made a move. She nodded slowly. Because that's what you do. You build the case before you make the accusation. Something like that. Ethan was crying. Not loud, not dramatic. Just tears sliding down his face while he stared at the table. Is she going to jail? He asked. I don't know yet. That depends on a lot of things. Where is she now? I don't know. I left her at the restaurant last night. Haven't spoken to her since. Olivia crossed the room, sat next to her brother, put her arm around him. Looked at me with an expression I'd never seen on her face before. Anger, but controlled. My kind of anger. What do you need from us? She asked. Just your honesty. If the court asks where you want to live, tell the truth. We're staying with you, Ethan said immediately. Both of us. Olivia nodded. Obviously. That afternoon, Rachel showed up at the house. I was in the garage sorting through boxes of old case files when I heard her car pull in. She came through the side door, eyes swollen, mascara smudged, wearing the same green dress from the night before. We need to talk, she said. Talk to my attorney. Marcus, please. I know I messed up, but we can work through this. $63,000, Rachel. You funneled our savings to your boyfriend's failing business. He's not my boyfriend. Then, what is he? She didn't answer. I pulled up a document on my phone, showed it to her. A forensic analysis I'd prepared over the past week. Every dollar traced from our account through Pinnacle Ventures to Derek's company. Materials purchased, contractors paid, permits filed. A complete financial trail. This is what I do for a living, I said. I find hidden money for corporations, for lawyers, for insurance companies. Did you really think I wouldn't find yours? She stared at the screen. I thought you were too busy to notice. That might be the most honest thing you've said in 14 months. She reached for my hand. I pulled away. The kids know, I said. They're not interested in seeing you right now. Her face crumpled. You told them? They deserve the truth. They're children, Marcus. You don't dump this on children. Olivia's 20. Ethan's 15. They're old enough to understand that their mother stole from their father to fund an affair. That word hit her like a slap. She stepped back. I never meant to hurt anyone. People who mean to hurt others are amateurs. The real damage comes from people who convince themselves they're not doing anything wrong. You told yourself it was an investment. Told yourself I wouldn't miss the money. Told yourself Thursday nights were networking. You built an entire alternate reality, and you expected all of us to live in it. She left without saying another word. Monday brought the next wave. Sandra filed the petition. Rachel was served at 9:15 a.m. at the apartment she'd been staying at. Derek's apartment, of course. By Tuesday, Sandra called with an update. Her attorney wants to negotiate. They know about the financial evidence. They're scared. They should be. There's something else. Rachel's attorney disclosed that Derek Solis has been using the Pinnacle Ventures LLC to secure loans against property he doesn't fully own. He's been listing the assets purchased with your money as collateral for additional lines of credit. I leaned back in my chair. So he's leveraging stolen money to borrow more money. Essentially, yes. And if any of those lenders find out the original capital came from converted marital assets, he's looking at bank fraud on top of everything else. Can we prove it? Marcus, you're a forensic accountant. Can you prove it? I smiled for the first time in weeks. Give me 48 hours. It took me 36. I traced every dollar through 3 layers of transactions. Derek had used the money Rachel gave him to purchase materials for a commercial renovation in Elm Grove. Then he listed those materials and the partially renovated property as assets to secure a $300,000 line of credit from a regional bank. The bank had no idea the seed money was stolen from a married couple's savings account. I documented everything. Transaction logs, bank filings, property records, contractor invoices. Built a timeline that any prosecutor could follow. Then I gave it all to Sandra. This is devastating, she said, flipping through the report. For both of them, that's the point. Sandra filed an amended petition. Added financial fraud, conversion of marital assets, conspiracy to commit bank fraud. Attached my forensic report as an exhibit. Rachel's attorney called within hours. Wanted an emergency meeting. We sat in Sandra's conference room. Rachel across the table, looking like she hadn't slept in days. Her attorney, a younger guy named Patterson, shuffling papers nervously. My client wants to settle, Patterson said. She's willing to agree to Mr. Cole's terms regarding custody, asset division, and property. Sandra looked at me. I nodded. Here are our terms, Sandra said. Sliding a document across the table, full custody of both children. The house. All retirement accounts and investments. Mr. Cole's business is separate property and not subject to division. Mrs. Cole retains her personal vehicle and personal belongings. No alimony. Patterson's eyes went wide. That's everything. She walks away with nothing. She walks away without a criminal record, I said. That's not nothing. Rachel stared at me. You'd really do that? Press charges? I looked at her for a long moment. The woman I'd loved for 23 years. The mother of my children. The person who'd smiled at me every morning while systematically draining our savings account. You stole $63,000 from our family, I said. You gave it to a man who used it to commit bank fraud. You lied to me, to our children, to everyone, for over a year. The question isn't whether I'd press charges. The question is why I'm giving you the option to avoid them. The room went quiet. Patterson whispered something to Rachel. She closed her eyes, nodded. She signed everything that afternoon. 2 weeks later, I got a call from our company's managing partner, Tom Hirsch. He'd heard about the divorce through the professional grapevine. Wanted to check in. Also wanted to tell me that 3 of our employees had received suspicious credit monitoring alerts. Someone had been pulling their personal information from our firm's internal systems. Social security numbers, banking details, home addresses. My blood went cold. When did this start? I asked. Alerts came in over the past week, but the access logs show queries going back 4 months. Who had access? Tom paused. Rachel's old login. She used to help with office management before she stepped back. We never deactivated her credentials. I went to the office that night, pulled every access log for Rachel's account, found exactly what I was afraid of. She'd been accessing employee files for months, downloading personal financial data. The downloads coincided with dates when Derek was applying for new lines of credit. She hadn't just stolen from us. She'd given Derek our employees' personal information. He could have used it for identity verification, for fraudulent credit applications, for anything. I called Sandra. Then I called Tom. Then I sat in my empty office and thought about the 37 people who worked for my firm. People who trusted me with their most sensitive information. People whose data my wife had stolen and handed to a con man. The next morning, I brought our entire staff into the conference room, told them what happened, told them their data had been compromised, told them we were providing 2 years of identity theft protection and credit monitoring at the firm's expense. The room was silent. Then Janet Ruiz, our senior analyst who'd been with us for 12 years, spoke up. Is Rachel going to be held accountable? I met her eyes. Yes, she is. That evening, I called the district attorney's office. Spoke with a prosecutor named Daniel Keene. Laid out everything. The unauthorized access, the data theft, the connection to Derek's fraudulent loan applications. Mr. Cole, Keene said, this is serious. Computer fraud, identity theft, conspiracy to commit bank fraud. We're talking multiple felonies for both of them. I know. Are you prepared to cooperate fully? I thought about Olivia and Ethan. About the peace we'd started to build. About ripping it all open again with a trial, with news coverage, with their mother's face on a courtroom sketch. Then I thought about Janet Ruiz. About Tom Hirsch. About 37 people whose personal information was out there because of my wife's choices. Yes, I said. I'll cooperate. Unlike the original story in my mind where I might have let it go, I couldn't this time. This wasn't just about Rachel and me anymore. My employees deserved protection. They deserved justice. And if I buried this to keep the peace at home, I'd be no different from Rachel, choosing my own comfort over the people who trusted me. I told the kids that night. Olivia listened without interrupting. When I finished, she asked one question. Did anyone get hurt from the data theft? We don't know yet. That's part of why I have to cooperate, to make sure we find everything and protect everyone. She nodded. Then you're doing the right thing. Ethan was quieter. Sat with his guitar across his lap, not playing it, just holding it like a security blanket. Will Mom go to jail? He asked. Maybe. For how long? I don't know, buddy. He looked at me. I don't want her to go to jail, Dad. But I understand why you have to do this. It's not just about us. 15 years old and already understanding something Rachel never did. That other people matter, that your choices don't exist in a vacuum. The trial took 8 months to reach the courtroom. Derek Solis pleaded guilty to bank fraud and identity theft. Got 4 years. His attorney negotiated it down from a possible 12. Rachel went to trial. Her attorney argued she didn't understand what Derek was doing with the employee data, that she thought she was just helping with legitimate business paperwork. The prosecution presented my forensic analysis. Every transaction, every download, every timestamp that proved she knew exactly what she was accessing and when. I testified for 2 days. Walked the jury through the financial trail the way I would for any client. No emotion, just numbers, just facts, just the truth. Olivia sat in the gallery every day. Didn't miss a single session. Ethan came once, on the day Rachel testified. He watched his mother try to explain why she'd done what she did. She cried on the stand. Said she felt trapped in a marriage that had become a business arrangement. Said Derek made her feel alive. Said she never intended to hurt anyone. The jury convicted her on 3 counts: computer fraud, theft of personal information, and conspiracy. The judge sentenced her to 14 months in a minimum security facility plus 3 years probation and full restitution. After the sentencing, Ethan and I sat in my car in the courthouse parking lot. You okay? I asked. No, he said. But I will be. Yeah, you will. He picked at a thread on his jeans. Dad, I need to ask you something. Anything. Did you ever think about not doing this? Just letting it go so things could be normal? Every single day, I said. But normal built on lies isn't normal. It's just comfortable. And comfort isn't worth someone else's safety. He thought about that for a long time. Then he nodded. That's why you're good at your job. You don't let people hide. I ruffled his hair the way I used to when he was little. He let me. A year after the trial, I got an email from Janet Ruiz. She'd left the firm 6 months earlier to take a position with a larger company in Chicago. Her message was short. Marcus, I wanted you to know that the credit monitoring you provided caught a fraudulent application in my name 3 months ago. Because we caught it early, no damage was done. I know this past year was hell for you and your family. But you did the right thing. Not just for us, but for anyone else Derek and Rachel might have targeted if they'd gotten away with it. Thank you for choosing us over easy. I read that email 4 times. Then I printed it out and put it in my desk drawer. On the days when I wondered if I'd made the right call, I'd pull it out and read it again. Olivia graduated cum laude from Northwestern 18 months after the divorce. Pre-med, accepted to Johns Hopkins for medical school. I flew out for the ceremony. Ethan came too, carrying his guitar case because he had a gig that evening at a coffee shop near campus. Kid was getting bookings now. Even had a small following online. After the ceremony, we went for barbecue. Olivia's choice. She ordered brisket and a beer, her first legal one, and raised her glass. To us, she said. The three of us. We're still standing. Ethan clinked his water glass against hers. Still standing. I touched my glass to both of theirs. Still standing. That night, back at the hotel, Olivia called my room. Dad, can I tell you something without you making a big deal about it? Depends on what it is. I've been seeing someone. His name is Ryan. He's in my program. I wanted you to know because he's coming to Thanksgiving and I didn't want it to be weird. Why would it be weird? Because the last time someone brought a new person into our family, it didn't go so well. I laughed. First real laugh in a long time. Olivia, bring Ryan. We'll be normal, or whatever passes for normal with us. She laughed too. Thanks, Dad. Also, Ethan told me to tell you that you should start dating. His words were, Dad's too young to be a monk. I'll take that under advisement. Your Honor. She added in her best courtroom voice, the witness requests that you take it under serious advisement. Duly noted. Now go celebrate your graduation and stop worrying about my love life. 3 months later, I met someone. Not through an app or a setup. Through work, sort of. Her name was Claire Donovan. 44, ran a cybersecurity firm that partnered with my company on fraud cases. We'd been on the same conference calls for years, but never met in person until a joint client dinner in October. She was sharp. Direct. Had been through her own divorce 5 years earlier. 2 sons, 13 and 16. We talked for 3 hours after everyone else left. About work, about kids, about the strange arithmetic of rebuilding a life when someone subtracts themselves from it. I don't trust easily, Claire said over coffee that turned into dessert that turned into a walk along the waterfront. Neither do I said. Occupational hazard. She smiled. Maybe that's why this works. 2 people who spend their careers looking for lies might actually appreciate the truth. We took it slow. Months of dinners and phone calls and carefully introducing our kids to the idea before introducing them to each other. By the following spring, we had our first family dinner together. All 5 kids around the table. Olivia grilling Claire's oldest about his college plans. Ethan showing her youngest how to play a chord on the guitar. Claire and I sitting at the ends of the table, watching our broken families stitch themselves into something new. It wasn't perfect. Ethan still had hard days. Still went quiet sometimes when he heard something that reminded him of Rachel. She'd written him letters from prison. He read them, never responded. Told me once that he'd write back when he had something to say. I didn't push. Olivia called Rachel once, on her birthday. Told me it lasted 4 minutes. Said Rachel sounded smaller, like someone had turned her volume down. Olivia didn't call again. Last Thanksgiving. Our first one all together. 7 people around a table built for 6. Claire made the turkey. I made my mother's sweet potato casserole. Olivia brought Ryan, who turned out to be exactly the kind of quietly decent person she deserved. Ethan played guitar after dinner while the rest of us sat on the back porch in the cold, wrapped in blankets, pretending we weren't freezing. Dad, Ethan said during a break between songs. You happy? I looked at the people around me. At Claire, whose hand was warm in mine. At Olivia, leaning against Ryan, laughing at something his youngest son said. At Ethan, guitar across his lap, 15 and already wiser than I was at 40. Yeah, buddy. I'm happy. Good. He strummed a chord. Because we are 2. And sitting there, surrounded by a family I never planned and a future I never expected, I realized that Rachel hadn't just betrayed me. She'd rearranged me. Broken apart the version of Marcus Cole who was too busy reading spreadsheets to read the room, and forced him to become someone who pays attention. To his kids. To himself. To what actually matters. I'd spent my whole career following money to find the truth. Turned out the most important truth wasn't in any ledger. It was sitting right there on my back porch, slightly off-key, asking if I was happy. And for the first time in a long time, the answer was yes.